Coming up on 5 Minute News. Federal Reserve tries to tackle inflation with major rate hike. January 6 panel releases video of Capitol reconnaissance tour. And Yellowstone flooding reaches Montana's largest city. It's Thursday, June 16. I'm Anthony Davis. The US Federal Reserve intensified its fight against high inflation on Wednesday, raising its key interest rate by 0.75 of a point, the largest bump since 1994, and signaling more rate hikes ahead as it tries to cool off the US economy without causing a recession. The unusually large rate hike came after data released on Friday showed US inflation rose last month to a 4-decade high of 8.6%, a surprise jump that made financial markets uneasy about how the Fed would respond. The Fed's benchmark short-term rate, which affects many consumer and business loans, will now be pegged to a range of 1.5 to 1.75%, and Fed policymakers forecast a doubling of that range by year's end. Powell said it was imperative to go bigger than the half-point increase the Fed had earlier signaled because inflation was running hotter than anticipated, causing particular hardship on low-income Americans. The central bank revised its policy statement to acknowledge that its efforts to quell inflation won't be painless, removing the previous language that had Fed officials expect the labor market to remain strong. Fed officials forecast unemployment ticking up this year and next, reaching 4.1% in 2024, a level that some economists said would risk a recession. Yet Powell largely stuck to his previous reassurances that with unemployment near a 5-decade low, wages rising, and consumers' finances mostly solid, the economy can withstand higher interest rates and avoid a recession. The House committee investigating the January 6 insurrection released a video on Wednesday of a tour led by a Republican lawmaker the day before the attack, showing participants taking photos of stairwells and tunnels in the Capitol complex. Georgia Representative Barry Loudermilk had previously denied he hosted a tour and has declined to be interviewed and denied any wrongdoing. While more than 800 people have been charged for breaking into the building or for violently beating police officers, thousands of other protesters were outside the building or on the National Mall and did not engage in violence. Mississippi Representative Benny Thompson, the investigation committee chairman, said areas photographed and recorded by some on the tour are not typically of interest to tourists, including hallways, staircases, and security checkpoints. Another member of the panel, Republican Representative Adam Kinzinger of Illinois, tweeted after the video was released, "Please take a look. These are not normal tour routes. The Capitol was closed to tours." The back and forth with Loudermilk has underscored the committee's difficulty in getting any information from Republicans who were communicating with President Donald Trump, the White House, or the rioters during the insurrection or beforehand, as Trump strategized how to overturn his election defeat. Meanwhile, new emails that show that Ginny Thomas, the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, corresponded with Trump lawyer John Eastman around the time of the insurrection. Devastating floodwaters caused by climate change that wiped out miles of roads and hundreds of bridges in Yellowstone National Park and swamped scores of homes in surrounding communities moved downstream yesterday and threatened to cut off fresh drinking water to residents of Montana's largest city. Heavy weekend rains and melting mountain snow had the Yellowstone River flowing at a historically high level of 16 feet as it raced past Billings. The city gets its water from the river and was forced to shut down its treatment plant at about 9:30 a.m. because it couldn't operate effectively with water levels that high. The unprecedented and sudden flooding that raged through Yellowstone earlier this week drove all of the more than 10,000 visitors out of the nation's oldest park, which remains closed. It damaged hundreds of homes in nearby communities, though remarkably nobody was reported hurt or killed. It also pushed a popular fishing river off course, possibly permanently, and may force roadways torn away by torrents of water to be rebuilt at a safer distance away. Park officials say the northern half of the park is likely to remain closed all summer, a devastating blow to the local economies that rely on tourism. In Gardena, Montana, businesses had just started recovering from the tourism contraction wrought by the coronavirus pandemic and were hoping for a good year as Yellowstone celebrates its 150th anniversary. As the Yellowstone rebuild efforts get underway, rangers will have to consider the reality of the park's altered landscape, as well as potential future climate change disasters. You can subscribe to 5 Minute News on YouTube with your preferred podcast app. Ask your smart speaker or enable 5 Minute News as your Amazon Alexa flash briefing skill. Subscribe, rate and review online at 5minute.news. 5 Minute News is an Evergreen podcast covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering independent, unbiased and essential world news daily.